Enterprise Content Management Systems,
also referred to as ECM, are robust document management solutions that provide the tools to capture, manage, store, and preserve content and documents. The custom library component that we will be demoing here allows users to interact directly with remote ECM repositories within the context of Lotus Connections communities. The custom library is developed as an iWidget and communicates to the ECM repository through a defined set of REST APIs. To add a custom library to your community, you must be logged into Connections as a manager of the community. Select Community Actions, and then Customize. Then from the Add Content tab, select Custom Library to add it to the community. In order to see content inside this application, you must first configure it to point to a particular library on an ECM server. To do this, you must first navigate to Edit mode for the widget. Then enter a title for the application and fill in the server and login information for the ECM system you are connecting to. Once the list of folders is retrieved from the server, select the one you want to connect to. You can optionally customize additional settings through the Customize tab. These settings are stored as iWidget attributes and will be configured for all users. The widget settings will affect the Overview mode. Here you can set which view will be used to display items in the widget. The options in this drop-down are populated based on a request to the ECM system for the available views. The application settings will affect the full page mode. Here you can set the default sort field and sort order for the table layout view. These settings do not apply to the details layout view. To finish configuring the component, click Save. Multiple custom library components can be added to a single community. However, the folder being connected to must exist on the ECM system prior to configuring the custom library. There is no lifecycle integration yet between Connections and ECM, which means when you add or remove the custom library from the community, there is no corresponding action in the ECM system. The same is true for adding and removing users to the community. Once the custom library has been configured, users with access to both the community and the ECM repository can see the content. Access control to the ECM content is separate from access to the community and must be managed through the native ECM application. It is supported and encouraged for SSO to be used between the Connections and ECM systems so that users do not have to log into both. Keep in mind, however, that just because it is the same user doesn't mean they will have equivalent permissions in ECM and the community. Once inside the library, you will see a list of documents and folders. Results for each folder are paginated, and there are options to change the number of items per page located at the bottom of the paging bar. Results can also be sorted differently by clicking on the sort headers at the top of the layout. There are two different layout options, one being a condensed tabular view with columns, and the other is a more detailed view. Both layouts show the list of available actions for each item. In the tabular view, this is visible through a context menu. To create a new folder in ECM, first navigate to the location you wish to create the folder in. Then click the New Folder button in the toolbar. This opens a dialog prompting for information related to the new folder. Permissions for the new folder will be inherited from the parent folder. To upload a new file into ECM, navigate to the location you wish to create the file in, and click Upload File. A dialog opens prompting for information related to the file, including common metadata such as title and description. Additional custom metadata is determined based on the document type. The default document type is initially selected and determined based on the configuration of the folder you are in. The default document type for a folder can be changed through the native ECM application. Here, the configured document type is called Advanced Sales Doc, but it could be changed by clicking the Change link, which opens up a list of available document types to select from. When a document type with custom property sheets is selected, the metadata on those property sheets will appear at the bottom of the dialog. Properties can be in the form of strings, date and time, decimal or integer, Boolean, single select, and multi-select. Selecting the checkbox labeled Show Only Required Fields will show only fields that are required for check-in. Client-side validation is done on the user input to provide quick and detailed information on errors. For example, if you enter a text in a field that expects an integer, an error will appear above the field in question so the input can easily be fixed. The Show Inline Help checkbox will show additional inline information explaining the type of data that is valid for text input fields. Once all the information for the file has been entered, you can choose to check in the document or save it as a draft. For all editing actions on a document, you will have the option to check in or save edits to a draft. We'll go over drafts in more detail later and simply check in the document for now. To edit the properties on a document, select Edit Properties from the context menu. This opens a dialog that looks similar to the Upload File dialog and also includes a field for replacing the contents of the file. When checking in changes to an existing file, versioning options may be available depending on which repository you are pointing to and the document type associated with the document. The options include the ability to create a version and specify a change summary for that version. The document type we are using for this file has automatic versioning enabled, and the P8 repository doesn't support change summary, so we will not see these options on check-in here, but we will see the version that gets created in just a minute. The contents of the document can also be replaced through the Replace action on a document. This action is similar to Edit Properties, except there is no option to edit the metadata. The versioning options will again be shown if they are available and you choose to check in the changes. To see more details of a document, click on the document title to open its summary page. Here you will see the available actions for the document near the top, followed by title, description, and size metadata. The document can be downloaded directly by clicking on the Download this file link or by clicking on the file icon. At the top of the page, there are several tabs that show data related to the document. The About this file tab shows additional common metadata. The Custom Properties tab shows custom metadata that is specified by the document type. The Versions tab will show all versions that exist for the document and the corresponding change summaries if available. From this tab, you can download, restore, and delete specific versions if supported by the repository. You can see here that we have 3 versions, one from the initial creation of the file, one from editing properties, and one from replacing the file contents. You can download a version to see the associated file contents. Restoring a version will result in a new version that is an exact replica of the version being restored. Deleting a version will completely remove it from the repository. At the bottom of the document summary page is a link to open the document using the native ECM application, such as Workplace for P8 or Webby for CM8. If there is something you want to do on the document that cannot be done in the custom library, you can use this link to easily access this document directly. You can edit the contents of the document by selecting the Edit Document action. This action does not require any browser plugins as it leverages the desktop connector. Detection of the connector is automatic to determine whether the action will be available. Selecting this action will open the document in the editor registered on your file system, and changes can be made directly to the file. Once you are finished editing, save the file and the contents will be uploaded as a draft to the repository. When you go back to the browser, there is a message to refresh the page and you will see that a draft has been created as indicated by the View Private Draft link. Drafts are private working versions of the document that are only visible to the draft author. From here, you can download the public document to see the original contents. As the draft owner, you can also download the draft document to see the changes you have made to your private copy. Here we see the changes that were made when the document was edited in the application. Changes to a draft copy are not made public until the draft is checked in. The custom library supports compound documents from ECM systems as well. As an example, a subset of those are pages that are published from Quicker Domino with attachments. We will show them as compound documents with attachments, as shown here. Using the breadcrumb to get back to a folder view, we will look at views as one more way of finding documents according to a predefined query. Views are created through the native ECM application and are exposed through the Views drop-down in the toolbar at the top of the page. We will select My Documents view to see documents that I have created. Results of a view are not necessarily scoped to the library or folder the custom library is pointed to, so the results may not all be from this particular library. Views have the same pagination and layout options as viewing a folder. You can perform the same operations on view results that you can on documents navigated to by folders. This concludes the demo of the custom library application. We have seen how content from an ECM repository can be viewed, edited, and managed directly through this application, providing end users with a user-friendly approach to working with ECM documents.